Good afternoon. We are sorry about the delay today on Poet to Poet, Writer to Writer, but we're on the air, and my guest is Shimi, who is a local musician, songwriter, and they're just adjusting things right now.
Hi.
Yeah.
Not on yet.
Oh, we're not on yet?
I'll take you off on the screen. We'll set you up like in 1 minute.
Okay.
Well, as long as they're off, did you do a white balance? I'll do it. You can go ahead and work on it.
1 minute, you'll be on, okay?
So I speak in here, you speak in there?
Yeah. No, you don't have to speak in, it's
Oh.
just, it's, yeah.
Oh, okay, they just mix
Yeah.
it up.
Pretty intense. Good
Focus.
afternoon. I'm Doug Holder, poet to poet, writer to writer. They're focusing in on my face. But anyway, our guest today is Chiemi, who is a local musician and singer-songwriter, and I'm going to be interviewing her. Just let you know, the Ibbotson Street Press has a new book out about the Grow Your Poetry Bookshop. An old bookshop in Harvard Square that can be ordered on lulu.com, Lulu.com. Look up under Grow Your Poetry Bookshop. It's a memoir of that famous bookshop in Harvard Square. My guest today is Ingrid Shimi Shafner. And she uses her middle name, Shimi, which is Japanese, as her musical moniker. She was born on Halloween in 1970, just a kid, in Hawaii. She has been in Massachusetts since 1988, when she moved here for college. She plays music under the middle name Shimi, in Japanese meaning one who is blessed. She has an interest in telling stories which stem in part from her East-West heritage, work on folk tales as an undergraduate, and is further carried out in her daytime profession as a lawyer and advocate. Shimi hosts the monthly Summerville News Music Poetry Series. She's a colleague of mine at the Summerville News, that great newspaper, and writes for a music events reviews column for the news called Shimi's Corner. For past articles and information about the series, go to her website at www.aalam.org, Chiemi/corner.shtml. She released 2 CDs, the recent one is Living on Two Coasts, right? Is that the most recent one?
Yeah, that's this one,
Yeah.
right here.
That's one right
Right
there.
up.
The CD is available at the BC Bookstore, Newbury Comics, and CD Spins. Is also available on the CD Baby and Amazon.com. She has played in various local venues, including Raggi's, the Fireplace, and Dally's in Brookline, the Burren Toast Lounge, Sky Bar and PA's Lounge in Somerville, Nameless Cafe, the Zeitgeist, and she opened for the Paula Kelly Orchestra, and she loves to hear new and original music. Welcome, Chiemi.
Thanks, Doug.
Chiemi. I'm always getting it wrong. Sorry about that, but it's just going
No,
to
you're not the only one.
Yeah, I know it's a difficult. And you know, your main medium is music, but you also are a writer also, and that's why
That's
I prefer
true,
you. And
yeah.
you run a writing series and music and writing series. Yeah. So that's why I brought you on. Now, Chiemi means one who is blessed in Japanese, right?
Yes.
Are you? Do you feel you are?
Yeah, I guess I can't complain. I mean, sometimes I can. Not today, though.
Yeah. Do you feel blessed in any certain ways where you're
Well, I mean, I
not
feel...
to be immodest, but
Not to be immodest. I feel lucky to be able to write for Somerville News, to have met people like Doug, to enable me to write for the news and to host this series. Actually, there's a kind of a printout of, this is what Chiemi's Corner on my website looks like. It's got some past articles, people I've reviewed. The reason I've had them on my website and scanned in PDFs of the articles is because some of the artists that I've interviewed and done articles on don't have their own websites, but if I have those articles on my website, they can at least refer to other publications or people who are interviewing them or their friends or fans to this website so they can get a copy or their own copy of this article. This Chiemi's Corner section also talks about the Somerville News Poetry and Music Series event, which I am lucky enough to currently be the host of. It was originated by Doug, actually,
Yeah.
was it 2004?
Yeah, Toast Lounge, yeah.
Toast Lounge, right, a Toast Lounge. And actually there was an article in the Somerville News about it. Here it was, a picture of us.
Right.
There's Doug, and there was Lo Galuccia, and me, and
Mark Whitish.
Mark Whitish, that's right, from last year's, or actually it's 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few years ago, yeah.
Right, when Doug was hosting us, and then he asked me if I would take over, and I had been playing music at these events, and I was quite happy to. So this Chiemi's Corner site has the upcoming events on August 13th, which will have Jacques Fleury, the Haitian Firefly, Colleen Houlihan, and Ross Goldberg, who will be the musician. And then on September 10th, Jennifer
This will be
Matthews.
Turnanog at September 10th, right?
Right, they're right. We're currently at the Sherman Cafe for the next event in August, and then beginning in September, we'll be at the Tirnanog, which is in Union Square, another local Somerville venue, and then on the 8th of October, we have our next event. And all the people who are listed on these events are, local Somerville artists, or at least people who perform in Somerville. And I feel lucky to be able to have contact with these people, to get to know them, because I do feature articles on each person who's featured in the Somerville News series, and I get to learn about a little bit, to learn a little bit about how they write, what their thought processes are, and really what composition and art is.
Okay, now you write songs about your East-West heritage. Are these two parts of you in conflict, your East versus West? I mean, you don't seem like you seem a very happy person. You don't seem all conflicted, but I'm sure, beneath there's always conflicts, and conflicts actually is good for writing also.
That's true, yeah. There is a friction, I think, between East and West ways of thinking. And it's something that I covered a little bit in my undergraduate thesis, which was on Japanese and German folk tales and how they shape identities through common genres. For example, Little One Inch, Isenboshi in Japanese, and Tom Thumb in the German Grimm's fairy tale tradition. They're both similar stories about undersized individuals overcoming obstacles, but they have different outcomes. In general, there are some trends in Western thought. There tends to be a bias towards moving forward and shirking off other things that didn't work, and branching out into new directions. That's a more linear progression. But in the Asian mindset, there tends to be a progression that is like a ball or a spear that expands. For instance, Minkin Shinku, which is the current popular religion in Japan, is comprised of Buddhism and Confucianism and even some Christian concepts, and also a bit of pantheism. And it's kind of all amalgamated into this folk religion. And that's kind of an example of what, in general, of course this is very simplified, Asian thought is about. It's encompassing and incorporating as opposed to moving forward and extricating things.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Very well.
But that creates a conflict, and kind of my way of thinking, my mother's Japanese and she was brought up in that circular way of thinking, and my father's Germanic, and it's more
That's
pragmatic.
Quite a combination,
Yeah.
Now, when you work on the lyrics of a song, what inspires you? Or talk a bit about the process.
What inspires me? Well, things I hear, turns of phrases, conversations I have, conversations I hear, things I see, things I've observed.
Right.
I like to think of songs as sort of a continuum of of thinking about ideas.
Yeah.
Kind of, as I evolve, my thoughts evolve on a topic, whether it's thinking about what the sea is a metaphor for, whether it's thinking about what it means to forgive somebody, what it means to love somebody, what it means to be angry and express it in a way that makes an impact on another person, or not, maybe just makes an impact on yourself.
Right, right, right.
All of these things are common to the human condition, and, we've all experienced it from being very little, being young, I should say, not little, being young to being older. And for myself, I've been writing about these things since I was about 12, and obviously, one isn't so sophisticated at the age of 12, but, there are thoughts that have real feeling in them that can get written down, and, writing helps me to think. It's kind of like a magic process almost.
Okay.
And so when I compose, I think of all those bits and pieces that I wrote down over the years, and I try to pull things into the present to see
Right.
what I've learned.
When do you compose? I mean, is there any process? Some people get up every morning at 5 before work, and, I mean, when do you write lyrics? Or is it whenever the spirit hits you?
Kind of when the spirit hits me. Mostly when I have quiet time do I kind of sit down, and I have actually a folder of what I call Chiemi fragments.
Yeah.
Chiemi fragments are kind of I guess they're the best pieces that I think of, or that I can recall, that I have in a folder, and I sometimes, when I have time to contemplate as opposed to being in the rush and tumble of life where I'm just simply
Right.
jotting down things here and there, I sit down with my Chiemi fragments and kind of put them all out and look at them kind of as puzzle pieces, because sometimes ideas that don't necessarily seem like they go with other ideas will fit together when you're thinking about them that way.
Well, I mean, there's a dichotomy in your life. I mean, you are a lawyer, and a successful lawyer in probate, children's...
Yeah, I do
children,
family law,
and
probate litigation, yeah.
And on the other hand, you're this musician, songwriter. I mean, how are these just like two very separate things? Are they sort of like, is there any sort of cross-fertilization? I mean,
I like to think of them as being
Yeah.
related. I
Yeah.
don't like to have lack of continuity, because I think, some people think of themselves as compartmentalized, that there are separate selves.
right.
I like to be more of a contiguous being. To me, it just makes more sense.
Right.
I think it's very hard to be in this role and be a certain way, and then be totally different in another role. I think that's weird.
Right.
Um,
Well,
It's hard to be
interesting,
authentic.
but, there was I don't know if you're familiar with the poet Wallace Stevens. Now, he was an insurance executive. And he said when he was in the role of insurance executive, he would never say that he was a poet, because once they know you're a poet, they don't view you as an insurance executive. Is this true as a lawyer? I mean,
That's true. I
Yeah.
do think that's true, because I think people have perceptions of what stereotypes of.
So would that
of
affect your
things-
credibility as a lawyer, you think?
It might.
Yeah.
It might.
So you don't tell them that you're...
I don't necessarily tell people that I'm
Right.
representing that I'm also a musician, because musicians, for some reason, I think maybe because of all these rock star video, biographies, these A&E things, with all this sex, drugs, and rock and roll, people have this idea that musicians are flakes.
Some are.
I mean, it's true, but there are some lawyers who are flakes too.
Right, that's for sure. Now, how about colleagues? How do they deal with it?
I think some colleagues think it's neat, and some colleagues have their own separate interests that they pursue.
I know a lot of people like Iris Gomez, who you met
That's
once.
right.
She's a very well-known immigration lawyer, I think.
Yeah, she's an immigration
And
lawyer,
there's
she's
this
a poet,
Beatrice Del Rio, who's a family lawyer, and she's an accomplished poet. So there are a lot of lawyers, poets. I mean, you deal with human drama as a
Right.
lawyer, and probably a lot of fodder for work.
Right, and those people wouldn't necessarily hold it against me, but I'm talking about sometimes
If you were
I think
Hale and
people are a
Dorr,
little
maybe.
staid about
Yeah.
their ideas of what they want. For a lawyer, do you want to have somebody who's a musician? Maybe that's interesting, but maybe you want to have sort of your stereotypical lawyer who wears pinstripe suits. Maybe
Well,
he's
maybe
even
if you were
male.
in a very traditional, like banking law, like a Hale and Dorr or something
Sure.
like that, they may get a little nervous, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose I'm in a particular type of practice where in family law, maybe it's more acceptable than in other areas of practice, because you see a whole gamut of human drama, as you pointed out. So perhaps being a musician is not so odd. Immigration law, maybe it's sort of the same thing, it's not so odd. But I'm talking about, maybe clients who are elderly. Some of my clients
Right.
are elderly. and
Right, they want something very right.
They want something that they think of as a lawyer, somebody they've seen on television being a lawyer, so I try to be a little bit more conservative when dealing with those people. Not that I'm being inauthentic, I'm just,
Right.
I just try to be more wary of what
Absolutely.
people might think.
Now, you were involved with a musical project at the Burn, a well-known pub and musical venue in Davis Square.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a bit?
That was a fabulous project. I think, it ended up being in 2004, and we had a release party. The CD was a compilation of regular open micers at the Burn who were chosen by Sammy James, who did the production and did the recording of the CD. And he was a regular for, I think, 4 years or so, and he had this idea that he would produce a CD that was kind of a representative CD of what the Burn's about, and the open mic on Tuesdays, what it's about. And so he talked to Hugh McGowan, who hosts it, and Hugh thought it was a great idea. Hugh put a song on the CD, and then we had 13 other people. And the reason 14 songs was the number that Sammy put on the CD was because there are 14 slots. When you go on a Tuesday night to the Burn, there are 14 open mic slots, and you have 16 minutes to play. And so it was a kind of it was representative of a night at the Burn, pretty much.
Now, your roommate from college is the daughter of Ed Sanders, right?
Right. Well, actually, she's my best friend from law school.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
your roommate. I'm sorry. And he was a member of the group The Fugs,
The Fugs.
and the 60s, and author of the Tales of Beatnik Glory, which was a great book. And so you were exposed to him. I imagine you met him.
Oh, yeah.
And does Sanders' politically focused songs have any influence on you?
I guess the fact that he and his group incorporated political ideas into their songs has an impact on me in that it's not totally off base to do that.
Okay.
I suppose. And I've met him, and I've talked to Dee, and Dee has shared with me stories about growing up with an artist as a father, and to me it's an interesting perspective. And she is she's a patent lawyer.
Yeah.
In a pretty white shoe firm, Hamilton, Brooks, Smith and Reynolds. She's gone in the opposite direction and become very conservative in her profession. Although in her thinking, she still thinks outside the box.
Yeah.
It's probably why she's a good lawyer.
Yeah. And lawyer is a certain aspect of lawyer is, as you know, is performing. And then you're going to perform in court and sell your stuff just as you would do as a musician or a poet, writer, right? So there's some meeting of the minds there. Huh? Yeah. Now, we got about 8 minutes, so I'm going to ask you to play some songs.
Okay.
And for our audience, this is unusual because we usually don't have. We had Jennifer Matthews on here as poet songwriter, and she sang some songs. So you'll be like the second person who's ever done that. So that's always nice.
Okay. Well, I brought my guitar with me. I didn't know if I should.
No,
And
it's always good.
this is an hollow body guitar, but it plays acoustically too, so it's
Good.
electric and acoustic. I guess this is a song I wrote called "Fade into Sunshine." I think I started writing it a while ago. Like a lot of songs, I was just kind of explaining to you my process. I started writing "Fade into Sunshine" when I was in college, maybe because of of a situation where I had a relationship that ended, and then I ended up thinking about it more. And what I had written became more of a song, and then I ended up actually, really figuring out the music as opposed to having things that didn't quite work,
Okay.
which I kept playing over and over again.
Okay.
So this ended up being on my Living on Two Coasts album,
All right.
which is in 2005. So from the 80s to 2005.
Alrighty.
Say goodbye, you walk away. My teddy bear's waving to a wet silhouette. It's getting by. but the cactus stands. Prickles up my spine, memories of confusion. Sigh, some more. This settles on my face. Question marks, smoke fade into sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. The sun is shining. Smiling faces, I'm a living collage. Think I've lost the blues as a slice. Across our paper pictures you come apart in crooked pieces. Sigh, some more. Mist settles on my face. Question marks of smoke but into sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. The sun is shining. A voice is soaring. Where is it going? I think it's me. When words are notes, don't connect. You know the time has come to try the gold. Sigh, some more. Mist settles on my face. Question marks, smoke fade into sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. The sun is shining. Hello again. Though your back is turned, you know I'm watching you. Your cigarette is out. A thought in your head, held and dropped far from your heart. Sigh, some more. Mist settles on my face. Question marks, smoke but into sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. The sun is shining, 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 shining.
Now, where could people, again, if they wanted to order your CD, what would they do? Amazon.com?
Amazon.com or CD Baby.
Yeah, okay. And it's Living on Two Coasts, right?
Yep.
Okay. Play another song. We got another 4 minutes, so you can play another
4
song.
minutes?
Oh, by the
Oh.
way, where are you? Are you performing any time this summer? Anywhere?
Well, I just finished performing at the Nameless last month, and upcoming, I've just got the Somerville News Poetry Music Series, which are
Okay.
in August and September.
Okay. And that's at the next one's at the Sherman Cafe,
Mm-hmm.
which is right here in beautiful downtown Union Square. It's at 3 o'clock on a Sunday, August
13th.
13th. And you can go to Chiemi, Chiemi Music, CHIEMI music.com, and there's a listing for that, right? All that stuff.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you play one more song? We might have a few minutes. 3
All
minutes.
right.
You got 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Worst
All
comes to
right.
worst, you get cut off.
Okay. Well, this is actually on my first CD. It's called Seeking Some Sea. It's about boats, water. It was in Maine, but it could be anywhere. Liquid shades of gray, pieces of sea green, converging sunlight, I pull and breathe.